would you like to improve your health and keep your family safe? You're listening to the Healthy Home Hacks Podcast, where we firmly believe enjoying optimal health shouldn't be a luxury. Healthy Home Authorities and husband and wife team Ron and Lisa will help you create a home environment that will level up your health. It's time to hear from the experts. Listen in on honest conversations and gain the best tips and advice. If you're ready to dive in and improve your well-being and increase your energy, you're in the right place. All right, here are your hosts, biobiologists, authors, media darlings, vicarious vegans, and avocado aficionados, Ron and Lisa Barris.
We are under the greatest environmental assault in the history of humanity. Suzanne Somers.
Okay, so when you think of Suzanne Somers, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Blonde bombshell? A natural knockout? Chrissy Snow on the 1970s sitcom Three's Company? Or perhaps it's the Thigh Master she so famously made a staple for women's legs across the globe. Or maybe it's her book, Toxic, From Toxic to Not Sick. Or any of the other 26 books she's written, including most recently, A New Way to Age, the most cutting-edge advances in anti-aging. Guys, either way, we're here to tell you that the real Suzanne is a far cry from ditzy Chrissy. As Healthy Home Authorities, on her prior Lifetime television show, The Suzanne Show, Ron and I can personally attest that Suzanne Somers is super savvy, extremely intelligent, highly passionate, and really truly cares about helping others just like you live their best life. Oh, and she's been happily married to her fantastic husband, Alan, for 50 whopping years. Yeah, that too. But girls, don't be green with envy, because while Suzanne is certainly stunning, it's her inner beauty, not her inner thighs, that set her apart from other Hollywood celebs. If you're not already aware, Suzanne's been making healthy waves through her unique line of Suzanne Organics at SuzanneSomers.com that are certified toxic-free. More about what that entails later, so stay tuned, friends.
From headlining in Vegas to playful Facebook Lives, Suzanne is changing the world one hormone, one toxin, and one laugh at a time. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into what clean living looks like for Suzanne, and hopefully she'll dish some secrets on how to have more energy, balance your hormones, and live your best life. Suzanne, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Wow, what an introduction.
you earned that.
Well, I don't know about that. Well, you needed a grand opening, right? Because you've done everything out there. And so our listeners, they are chomping at the bit. They want to hear you. So let's dive right in. Suzanne, okay. Most people know you for being an actress, a Las Vegas Entertainer of the Year, a comedian, an entrepreneur, and a New York Times best-selling author. So we know there's nothing you really can't do, but can you walk us through what led you to becoming passionate about healthy living?
Yeah, sometimes the worst things in life are your greatest opportunities. And so those three words, you have cancer, were devastating to hear. And then I decided that I was going to make it work for me. And that's what I did. I took the worst thing that had happened to me physically and decided to learn and grow, and it's been such an incredible ride. It led to my writing one of my favorite books that I've written, Knockout: Doctors Who Are Curing Cancer Without Drugs. It's just been this amazing journey. If you follow the flow and the journey of your life, and you don't phony it up, and you just try to pay attention to where is life taking you, you'll end up in the right place. And I think that is what is happening to me.
That's a great point. Kind of surrendering to the bigger picture and trusting that your life has a plan. Yeah.
Life has a plan for all of us. I never planned to do this or be this. And that's what's so interesting about it. I didn't have a plan. I have written a few books about my childhood, which was extremely difficult. I spent my childhood with a violent, crazed, alcoholic father. And it was so out of control in our house growing up that we spent, in fact, when I was writing my book, Keeping Secrets, I realized I spent in my childhood more nights hiding in the closet all night than in my own bed.
Wow.
And you learn and grow from that, but I don't remember ever being depressed. I remember being afraid, but I wasn't depressed. And I remember one day my father, alcoholics are bullies, and they've got to bully you to stay, to keep you close, because they don't want to let you go. And so my father had a mantra: you are stupid, you are hopeless, you are worthless, you are nothing, you're a big O. And I remember listening to that over and over and over again, and I got, here's the positive, I got what I call the I'll show yous.
Ooh.
The more he said it, the more I think, oh yeah, well, I'll show you. And did I ever?
Yeah, I'll say that's an understatement, right? Because it's like some people either follow the pattern or they rebel, right? And that would go with like even physical abuse, you know, and verbal abuse,
and not only that, you took humor as an outlet. So that's an interesting perspective too. So you have a lot, you're funny, you have a lot of humor in your life, period, right? How did you do that from having such a rough childhood?
But my father was actually funny. So I think the humor came from that Irish in him and passed on to me. I've always looked for the humor in life, and when I got the part of Chrissy Snow on Three's Company, it was such a privilege and such an opportunity to play such a woman child. And in many ways, that character allowed me to have the childhood that I never had growing up. If you analyze the show, Jack and Janet were the parents, and everything revolved around, you know, where's Chrissy, and Chrissy's late, and what happened? Chrissy's not home yet.
Oh my gosh, I got goosebumps when you said that.
Yeah. And then to have that character be so beloved. Yeah. I'm now at an age where I'm starting to do shows about being iconic, and you never think of yourself as iconic. I just think of myself as lucky. I'm lucky I had that father.
Yeah.
Look at the negatives in life and find, you know, where's the good?
I saw an interview with you where you said he was your greatest teacher. He was the teacher. Yeah. Which is like exactly what you're saying, like turning something negative, what someone might just define as poor me, woe is me, play the victim card. But you were like, no, I'm going to take that and I'm going to become better for that experience. Did you resolve your relationship with him?
Absolutely. Forgiveness is the gift you give yourself. And I had to write those books about him, which I thought was pretty brave of him to give me the permission to do it. I didn't sneak it behind his back. I brought him on, remember Phil Donahue?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My mom danced with Phil Donahue on one of the shows with a random viewer. That's kind of funny. So,
well, when the book came out, Keeping Secrets, I brought my whole family onto the Phil Donahue show. And man, that was a scary experience for me because it's your family. And you don't want to throw your family under the bus. But we had a story to tell. And the story is not, we didn't own that story. So many people have gone through this. And so before the show, I took Phil Donahue aside and I said, Phil, this is my family. He said, I know. I said, no, you don't. This is my family. And I said, you know, just think about it. So we get on the dais and there's a live audience and it starts out with Phil going, well, meet the Mahonies. They had one hell of a drinking problem. I'm thinking, oh my God.
Oh
no.
And you sounded like him too when you rehearsed that. That's funny. Yeah.
I'm Irish too, Suzanne. So we understand.
Phil then looks at my father and he says, could your name being Mahoney have something to do with your drinking problem? And my father said, yeah. And my grandmother's name was Donahue. Now that was, and do you know what? At that moment, won over the audience.
Aw.
The audience just loved him because, he made them laugh. And that show was a tremendous success. And
Wow.
that book was on the New York Times bestseller list for 16 weeks, became a movie, and we were off and running.
Oh my
So
gosh. Wow.
I only bring that up so that you can't sit on the pity pot all your life. You've got to look at the negatives in your life as your opportunities to grow spiritually and emotionally. And I have, as a result of the opportunity of being on the #1 show for so many years in America, for having the opportunity to write these books and have the audience respond to it so well. So that was the beginning of the journey, but it wasn't, I didn't know at that time this is going to lead to the movement, the Adult Children of Alcoholics movement, which that's what started. And I didn't know that this was going to lead to the bioidentical hormone movement. I didn't even know at that time what bioidentical hormones were. I didn't know that it was going to lead to toxic, from toxic to not sick, that book you mentioned. All of these things grew out of the experience that preceded it.
Right.
So I just look at it all as charmed and lucky.
Right. It's like, well, and you make your luck, and I know that you believe in that, and I know you've done that, and it's like an unfolding of a lotus flower. It's like these things are all happening, even though sometimes you can't see it. Like I got sick from toxins in a newly remodeled home, and at the time it was we were engaged. It was just horrible. Ron was driving me all over Timbuktu to every different doctor, and little did I know, here I'd be teaching other people how to remove toxins. And that was a great gift too, because had that not happened to me, and I had hormonal issues too, Suzanne, from the toxins, right? From all the parabens and the phthalates and all of hormonal havoc. So this is just so great. I know our listeners are just going to get so much out of today's show, because we just want to cover so much ground with you.
Well, when you were guests on my show, the Suzanne Show on Lifetime, which I was so impressed by the two of you, because you were ahead of your time, and you were paying attention to what's in your house that's making you sick, and long before other people were even thinking about this or considering it. We have to pay attention now. As you said at the beginning of the intro, we're under the greatest environmental assault in the history of humanity, and it's not going away.
No.
And that's the good news and the bad news. But you are dealing with it on a regular basis. We're building a new house. We've been in our house here for 43 years. And my husband said that he wanted to talk to the two of you, because who knows more about building and creating a clean, toxic-free house than the two of you. So I'm privileged to be speaking with you today.
Oh gosh, what a compliment! Thank you. We adore you, and we adore Alan. We're
going to replay this back, Suzanne. So we can
we're going to replay that again and again. When I was talking about Healthy Home when this first started, I got the crazy looks and you're paranoid. And I know that you have faced that too with your cancer and being so outspoken and such a pioneer in the alternative health movement. And so the bravery, that little bit of bravery and that perseverance to just keep on going and, trusting your gut on things, even if not everybody's on board. Because I know a lot of our listeners have, our readers write in and say, hey, my husband he's not on board with this stuff. It's like, hey, you know what? You have to protect yourself. You have to protect him. You have to protect your kids. So just keep on going. He'll figure it out. Cause even Ron at the beginning, you were a little like, who gets sick from their home? Well, I'd never heard of it either. Yeah. And here we are full circle. And now people are really waking up. Babies today are being born pre-polluted with 287 chemicals in their body. And then they go into these toxic environments. And so this is a great segue into that you created your own line of organic and toxic-free products, Suzanne Organics. And that includes, for anyone who's not familiar with it, that includes skincare, body care, hair care, cosmetics, toxic-free home cleaning supplies, supplements, and so much more. It's really phenomenal, guys. But some of our listeners might not realize that the entire line does not contain PEGs, parabens, which we touched upon with these hormone disrupting chemicals, synthetic fragrances, no chemical emulsifiers, no animal testing, and is completely gluten-free. So what prompted the creation of this line? Was it just kind of an extension on your journey?
I would say, again, the worst thing that happens to you your asset, and that was, being diagnosed with breast cancer 20 years ago. And I had to sit there and say, what have I been doing in my diet and lifestyle that I've played host to this disease, to create cancer in my body that's trying to kill me? And I thought I ate well, but I wasn't. I was eating vegetables, but they weren't organic.
Yeah.
Who decided it was a good idea to spray poison on our food?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The people making money on that.
Exactly.
It was a natural extension. I went out looking for organic skincare, hair care, shampoo, color cosmetics, all these things, and it didn't exist. And if it did exist, it was inferior for women. Ron, if we're going to put on makeup.
Hey, I was there too. I had to use the shampoo with no suds, and you didn't feel like your hair was getting clean, but it was.
Yes, the early shampoos.
That's what happened with the shampoos. You couldn't get any suds. My shampoo, we do have suds. We use shea butter and quinoa. We found that quinoa really cleans, and
really?
It's so there are great substitutes for everything. It's been an incredible journey of putting out. We have over 1,000 products, and it just happened.
Wow.
Organically, literally organically.
Literally.
Yeah, we earned the coveted insignia that's on every one of our products. Yeah. Certified Toxic-Free, which means it has to be grown organically, extracted organically, and nothing upwind or downwind of that product can be toxic contaminated. The guidelines are really stringent and very difficult to adhere, but we've done it. And I get letters, emails, Facebook comments every day from people saying, you can't imagine what this has done for my health. I had a COVID test this morning because I'm doing a show, and every show now requires that you're the clean one in the room.
How pleasant was that? Did you enjoy that experience? No.
Oh, isn't that's really, that's so fun. But when I was pulling away, the nurse came to the parking lot in our house, and as I was pulling away to go up to the kitchen, she said, "Could I say something to you?" I said, "Of course." And she said, I want to tell you what your books have meant to me. And she said, "I'm a nurse, and I've been on hormones for the last 20 or more years because of you. And I'm able to turn on my patients because of the book." So
wow.
What a rewarding.
What a rewarding. Yeah. I mean, you are changing so many lives. Are you open to taking a question from a caller?
Absolutely.
Okay. We have Emily on the phone. Emily, welcome to the show. And what is your question for Suzanne?
Hi, Suzanne. I'm such a fan. I love that I have this opportunity to ask you a question. I am a former kindergarten teacher, and right now I'm teaching privately in my private studio where I see lots of kids, and they're in and out all day long. And with the pandemic happening, I wanted your advice as to what you would recommend for cleaning surfaces in my classroom in the best way possible that's non-toxic, because I'm breathing these chemicals all day long.
I know.
Kids throughout the day.
It's hard now with little kids, and they're always got their fingers in their noses, and it's really hard to keep them cleaned up. We make a toxic-free hand sanitizer. We also make a line of household cleaning goods that are toxic-free. So it's Suzanne Organics. Go to my website. It's the continuing cleaning all the time that has the biggest effect. I don't really give advice. I create with my team these products that we believe in, and you spill something on your shirt, we've got a spot remover that's like incredible.
Nice.
You want to keep the surfaces clean, we've got the household cleaning products. So I think you'll find it at my website. And I congratulate you, Emily, on taking care of the children right now. This is a very difficult time. And how do you make children understand what's going on?
Yeah, the kids are adjusting as well. It's been interesting to see their reactions to wearing masks. I wear a shield, and, we're touching surfaces throughout the lessons. So it's really important that, I protect them as much as I can, but still be chemical free and have some good products.
I think being a teacher is a calling. And it's very disturbing to me right now how many children are not in school because of this pandemic, and the fact that you're carrying on says so much about your work ethic. And all of us who are parents, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Emily.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I did have one other question regarding hormones. I wanted to ask about balancing hormones during perimenopause because managing hot flashes or preventing them, for that matter, would be a useful information.
Well, I wrote a book just for you. It's called I'm Too Young for This, because everybody who is declining in hormones thinks they're too young. And it was actually, of all my 27 books, probably my worst selling book, because the audience I was targeting thought they were too young. But it's probably my best book. To understand, Emily, aging is about worn out parts. Now, if you owned a Maserati, one of the finest cars on the planet, you would pay attention to the sounds that it's making, the creaks and the dinks and like, what's that? And then the moment you would hear something that doesn't sound right in your Maserati, you take it to the mechanic, right? And you get it fixed. Well, that's what we have to do with our bodies. If aging is about worn out parts, what parts wear out first? Well, you go into hormonal decline, which is no fun. We go into mineral decline and nutrient decline. The body can't operate without minerals. Your bones will just disintegrate without minerals. Nutrients are the fuel. It's your fuel. I think a good book for you is I'm Too Young for This, or my most recent one, A New Way to Age, because you will see yourself in there. And pay attention to the language of your body.
Yeah.
I call them the 7 dwarves of menopause. Itchy, bitchy, sleepy, sweaty, bloated, forgetful, and all dried up. Okay.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
If any of those are living in your house, you know what I'm talking about. But when you get hormonal balance, you get you back again, and oftentimes you get you back in a way that you've never been.
Yeah.
And it's pretty exciting that we are able to put ourselves back together again, like Humpty Dumpty.
There's a lot of nursery rhymes in here.
Yeah.
There's a theme. I love it.
Exactly.
But you're right. And like people getting used to feeling bad, Suzanne, oh, I'm just bloated or I'm just irritable and that's just the way it is. But you're such living proof that no, it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, but I lived with it too. I mean, I had 3 years where I thought the world would be better off without me. I went from doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor. What a discouraging journey that was.
Yeah.
And all I heard was, I've got synthetic hormones for you, Premarin or Prempro. Yeah. Well, Premarin stands for pregnant mare's urine. Yeah. A horse has 34 different estrogens, none of which are compatible with a human female. And yet they want us to take these so-called hormones to put us back together again for for a compatibility that is incompatible.
I knew about, I didn't know that's what Premarin stood for, but I did know there was pregnant horse urine. And I thought, who came up with that and thought that was a good idea for women to feel better? It's just like common sense. Like,
exactly. And so just know that you can get it all back. If aging is about worn out parts and decline, then you've got to put back what has created the decline. And hormones are the game changer. I would start with hormones. Okay. And then you can do the deep dive on your nutrients and your minerals.
Okay.
When I write a book, I don't quite know where I'm going. And it always happens that I interview the best and the brightest. And what happened in my most recent book, A New Way to Age, was the term cellular health kept emerging. Now, why would that be significant? Well, you and I and everybody listening is anywhere comprised of 40 to 60 trillion cells. So when you think about cellular health, it's extremely important to acknowledge that this is a factor in aging that needs to be taken with the highest regard. Mm-hmm. You want to have a healthy cellular system in your body because that's what you're made of. Mm-hmm. And all your cells talk to one another. It's a communication system. Yeah. So hormones are a big part of your communication system. So if you are not sleeping, if you can't control your moods, if your hair is stringy and dry and lifeless, this is the language of your body.
Yeah.
And this is your body talking to you going, oh, it's not well.
Yeah, exactly. Emily, I hope that answered your question.
It did. Oh, thank you. This is great.
The book will make it easier for you, Emily.
Go get the books. Yeah. Head over to Suzanne Somers with 1M, SuzanneSomers.com, and get that certified non-toxic cleaner to keep you and your kiddos healthy and treat your body like the Maserati that it is.
Yeah, those two books too. I know we were talking about women, Suzanne, but obviously Alan's, he looks like he's 20 years old. He's doing something. And I understand that he takes hormones too.
Oh gosh, yes.
I know there's men listening right now who are thinking like, hey, does this apply to me too? Or when should I start a program like this for hormones since I'm a man?
Well, when I got myself right, it didn't take long either. I went from doctor to doctor, like I was telling you, and I was offered statins, anti-cholesterol, Valium for anxiety, sleeping pills, diuretics for the weight I was gaining. The way I will get to men in a minute, the way I describe hormones and hormone balance is, remember the teeter-totter on the playground when we were kids?
Yeah.
Okay, so the teeter-totter, if you can see my hands, when everything is in balance, it would just be, a straight,
level.
like a levels thing. The first thing we start declining in, women and men, is estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, pregnenolone, a few others. And so what happens, those are your minor hormones. Why they call them minor, I don't know, because there's nothing minor about them.
Yeah, no. If they're out of balance, they don't feel minor.
So when you start declining, here's what happens to your teeter-totter. Your minor hormones decline and your major hormones rise. What are your major hormones? Insulin, adrenal, cortisol, and thyroid. Oh. Okay. If any one of those major hormones are low or missing, you're not feeling well, and you also won't live very long. So it's extremely important. And so by putting Humpty Dumpty back together again, you want to keep your
Thanks for dumbing it down for us. That's nice.
Yeah, put it in layman's terms.
So when I got my teeter-totter back, in a solid line, I'm looking at Alan one day and I said, Al, you're getting like our old cat. You sleep all day. While I'm making dinner, you sleep on the couch. after dinner, you go back to the couch, you sleep on the couch, and then you want to go to bed and sleep. You see what has happened to me by becoming hormonally imbalanced. Why don't you go to my doctor? So he did. To his credit, he did. And he was extremely low in testosterone and extremely deficient in DHEA, which is a very important hormone. And so it didn't take long for him to put himself back together again, because it's easier for men. So it's lab work. It's not haphazard. You can't just like slap some cream on and all is well. He needed to do blood testing and with a qualified, organization.
Endocrinologist.
To Life Extension, who I work with. They're incredible. And not only is their testing less expensive, but also they have a scientific advisory board of 26 doctors, scientists, and professionals. And so when your results come back, they will interpret it for you, but you need to have your own doctor to prescribe your hormones for you. Well, when Alan went back, got on hormones, it was like a different guy. He's 84, and
wow.
I actually think he's proud of being 84. It doesn't matter what age you are, if you feel good.
Yeah.
You don't care that the world knows,
Right.
what your age is. And so when I look at Alan, he's got juice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Zest. He's not creaking and crickety, and he's strong. He's got good muscle tone. Without testosterone, you can't build bone or muscle. Testosterone is an anabolic steroid. And he keeps 225-pound weights at the end of our bed. And every time he walks by, he picks them up.
Really? That's a great
wow.
tip.
Yeah, so he's doing 50 pounds all throughout the day. And he can, he's strong.
Yeah.
I find it very sexy to have a strong husband.
Yeah. I think we are dealing with the feminization of men in our society, because a lot of people don't realize that these hormone disruptors that are in a lot of these chemicals, or that are in a lot of these products, these chemical hormones that we were talking about, that are wreaking havoc on the estrogen dominance and the feminization in men. And it actually, I don't know if you saw this study, Suzanne, years ago, when they were like, hey, the female frogs, or the male frogs, are turning female and having female parts. And then the fish, the bass that were dumped in the Potomac River, or the male bass were developing female eggs after a chemical spill. This is really happening.
It is. And it's to our detriment.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen that report. The Environmental Working Group did a study of cord blood across the economic spectrum, from the poorest to the richest babies. These are babies that have never even had a sip of breast milk yet. And they found that these babies were severely hormonally deficient already. And how do you catch up from that? So we have to start paying attention. The women are there. The men who get it, like Alan Hamill, like Ron, you're going to have a better quality of life, and that's what we're all chasing, is quality of life. We want to have the best life experience.
Oh, we're lucky to have you ladies. I'm telling you that, because back in the day, I thought it was only a real meal if you had fast food. So I'm a vegan now. So I've come a long way too. I've made a transition. This actually changed me in this area, and it was eye-opening.
It's pretty incredible that we are in control.
Yeah, there's that study it's on PubMed, and it's that 90 to 95% of cancers are actually caused from environment and lifestyle. Only 5 to 10% of cancers are actually genetic. And that's really, really good news, because I quote this a lot because I want people to feel empowered. All of the things that you are doing and have talked about, whether it's hormone balancing or your cleaning products or your personal care or your cosmetics or your skincare or shampoo, all of this is affecting our biochemistry. And if you do, like you were talking about kids coming in hormonally imbalanced and pre-polluted with these industrial chemicals, actually, we can reverse that. We can change these things, but we have to be proactive, right? We have to make healthy living a lifestyle and not just something you do when you don't feel good, which I think is the big transition for a lot of people. They'll try to be healthy once they get sick, but the goal is to make this a lifestyle so you don't get sick. And I like your point. Yeah. And I liked your point on, it's not just about living longer, it's about living better, right?
With quality.
Living
longer with quality.
Yeah.
Every day is a gift.
Yeah.
And, I took a terrible fall earlier this year. And so I've been wearing a neck brace because I had to have emergency spine surgery. When they start mentioning words like paralyze, it was my neck and spine. The word paralyze, I said, what?
Yeah.
And that's why we went right into surgery and did it. And I've been on my back for quite some time now. But in lying there in that bed every day, I have been so aware of the gift of health, and that without health, you've got nothing. You've got nothing.
No. Health is the greatest wealth.
Right.
Suzanne, can you walk us through the typical day in the life of Suzanne Somers? Like, what do you do? Do you wake up and do 20 push-ups? Do you drink green smoothies? What do you do to start your day off? And then what does Alan do? Because I know we want to copy this to be our best life.
Everybody listening, take notes.
I always start with a green smoothie, but now we have this protein powder called Gut Renew. We just ordered, I don't remember how many tons of it because it's so popular. People feel so good on it because everybody's got something wrong with their stomach. Have you noticed?
Yes.
Everybody's complaining about their gut and their stomachs. And they talk about bloating and gas and constipation and all these things we're not supposed to talk about. But if your gut isn't healthy, you're not healthy. And so this Gut Renew, a smoothie that I've been talking to my constituency about on Facebook Live, is such a phenomenal success. So I start with a smoothie. I do yoga every other day. I have for the last 19 years.
Oh my goodness, really?
Wow.
That's amazing. Yeah. Does Alan do it too?
No, he's got this thing up here that it's like a girl's exercise. You know what I think it is? I think he's not very good at it.
Oh.
And because he's not very good at it, he avoids it. I've been doing it longer. I'm more limber and I love it. And I love the body that yoga creates.
You look amazing. I've seen your Facebook lives. This lady can wear short little jean shorts and she has legs like 20-year-old. So listen to her advice if you want to look like her.
Yeah, it's Gut Renew. Alan just went.
Okay.
Nice.
It's really great. I make mine with frozen peaches, and it's pretty delicious in the morning. So
and is that on SuzanneSomers.com?
Yes, okay. And we're finally back in stock because Caroline, the president of our company, was telling me, what did she order? Do you remember how many tons she ordered, Alan?
We go through 10 tons at a time.
10 tons at a time.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God. Wow.
That shows you what's going on with people's gut.
Yeah.
Health. That's a lot of illness.
And don't they say all illness starts in the gut? So the microbiome sounds like such a buzzword that we hear a lot now. And I had this issue too, Suzanne. I suffered bloating always. Like it was just a thing. And no matter what I did, I couldn't get rid of it. I kind of just was like, I guess I have to live with this. And I realized, did some parasite cleanses and then really got on a better probiotic and system than I had been on before. I really started doing that regularly. And that has like really helped.
It's very life-changing.
Oh, it is, right? Yeah. You're like, oh, it's not just how you look, it's how you feel. Because having a bloated stomach doesn't feel good. You feel sluggish.
What I can't understand is the lack of understanding in the medical arena. If you're going to give your patient an antibiotic, anti takes away, then you must give them a probiotic. So anti takes away, pro puts back.
Right.
And so the antibiotic might heal the infection, but now you're imbalanced and you need the good guys and the bad guys in there. They're both equally important.
Yeah.
We make a supplement called Nasal Renew. Now it's interesting because Alan is got a nose thing. It's just, who knows what it is? It's a nose thing. He's constantly dripping and his eyes get red and
congestion, just a lot of congestion.
Yeah, well, no, what I realize is that we have a microbiome in our GI tract, but we also have a microbiome system in our whole nasal area.
Yeah.
And so the Nasal Renew that we sell rebalances the microbiome in the whole sinus and nose area. Well, ever since he started taking that, you can't imagine the difference.
Really?
And,
that's incredible.
and you realize, well, yeah, that makes sense that, you got to have, everything's got to be in balance.
Balance, yeah. Was that causing snoring for Alan?
Snoring is actually a thyroid issue.
Oh my
And
God.
apnea is a thyroid issue. And so when you're snoring, it's dangerous in that you want to have, your thyroid in good shape. So, people don't realize that thyroid is a hormone, that insulin is a hormone, that cortisol is a hormone, that the ones we're most familiar with, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, pregnenolone. There's a lot of components that need putting back together again. But I'm so happy we found this for Alan, and it's one of our biggest selling supplements because who knew so many people had red eyes and runny noses and sneezing and yeah.
Now, do you take that as a supplement, like a shake, or is it like a neti pot sort of thing?
It's just a supplement. It's you take one a day, depending on what your needs are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a gut smoothie. I often have sex because I am hormonally balanced, and I know it's too much information.
I know. I knew we were going to go there because you guys are you guys are very open about this, and I think it's great. You're such an open book anyway, but I love that you guys are very, not afraid to tell people, because a lot of people struggle with that and need your advice, and
well, a healthy person is a sexual person. What's the last thing you feel like doing when you're, not healthy?
Yeah.
It's sure not sex. So that's the only reason I bring it up. I don't bring it up to titillate or anything like that. It's probably a poor choice of words there. Life's about the choices you make. Mm-hmm. If you lie in bed at night and turn the lights out and now have an imaginary list in front of your head, and on one side, the good choices you've made that all throughout the day, and the bad choices you've made all throughout the day, you will be shocked at how many bad choices you have made during the day. Mm-hmm. You'll be shocked. And so the choices we make are vitally important for going forward with quality of life.
Yeah.
So I think about the choices that I make. Thoughts create.
Yes.
That what you think is who you are. And so keep check on your thoughts. Negative thinking creates a negative experience. So I'm very conscious of the thoughts that I can control. I try really very diligently to see the best as best I can in people. And compliment people. When I see someone on television, it's really easy to take shots at people on television. Having been someone who's been on television for the last 40 years, you can say whatever you want because they can't talk back.
Right.
But
man, I like the compliment suggestion, Suzanne, because Ron's really good at this. he'll just compliment random people all the time. And it's trained me to be that way. I used to be a little more maybe insecure to do that. Oh, what will they think of me? Well, everybody loves a compliment, come to find out.
Everyone.
That's always going to go over well.
Yeah, everyone loves a compliment. And these don't sound like, earth-shattering things, but they are. It's making you the best you that you can be. And then it's about the food. It's about the food. If you want to have the best life experience, then think about the food choices that you make every day. I grow my own food for the most part, and it's not easy to find organic soil to have brought to your property and dumped in a big pile. And then
in the desert too.
In the desert, yeah. And then the water is purified water, but that's how important I think food is in our life experience. So I feel proud of the meals I put out for Alan and I, in a couple of weeks, Thanksgiving, all the kids are all coming and everything will be organic and everything will be of the highest quality and very low in sugar, but in a way that they're not going to notice. Is that the average day of Suzanne Somers? Yeah. Was it always that way? No. Had it always been that way, I never would have heard those words. You have cancer.
Oh, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that's true. We unfortunately lost our sister-in-law last year.
So sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, it was very hard. And she had stage 4 and her last diagnosis. And
of what, breast cancer?
Yeah, breast cancer. Yeah. And it was a 5-year journey from her first diagnosis to
wow,
the time she passed. Yeah, because it started as stage 2 and then it progressed. And I know that you overcame yours with natural treatments. What would you say to listeners?
Chemicals are the enemy, and it's the organic hair care, skin care, household cleaning products, color cosmetics. All of those things really make a difference. There's a toxic burden that we all unfortunately carry around. So you want to keep your toxic burden as low as you possibly can, and you don't want to hear those words. Because I have heard those words, I never get cocky to think, well, I beat that. I don't think anybody beats it. I think it's always lurking. Mm-hmm. And that's where it comes back to the choices. Don't make choices that can add to that toxic burden.
We just interviewed, I don't know if you know, Dr. Lee Erin Keneally. She's an integrative MD. She has a cancer center here in Orange County. And they use integrative treatments. So they'll use mistletoe, which I believe you used.
Yes.
Okay. You did mistletoe IV. Was yours an IV form?
No, injection. In fact, I still do.
You do?
Called Iscador. And the company that I actually made them famous because I went on Larry King and talked about mistletoe. But mistletoe makes your immune system strong. And so nothing can invade or attack. And so when my diagnosis was, okay, now you're out of the woods, I thought, why would I stop taking something that builds up my immune system? So I still inject every other day Iscador, which is mistletoe.
Oh, wow. So it's safe just to take regularly.
Yeah, it's
obviously you look great. Yeah.
It's not a drug, and there's great literature on it. So, for your listeners, go look it up.
Wow. I love that. And I don't know if you've heard of grounding or earthing or do you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you guys practice that? Do you?
Yes, we have. You won't be surprised, but we have a grounding sheet on our bed.
Okay. Not surprised.
We do too. There we go.
We do too. Yeah.
This week's podcast is about that if you're listening to Ron Elisa. So we're currently episode 15, right? We talk about the grounding.
Yeah, episode 15. Yeah.
We are electrical beings.
Right.
And we connect with the electricity in the earth. One of the biggest detriments to, this because you're already versed in this, but the biggest detriments to our electrical system are rubber shoes. Yeah. When we used to wear leather-soled shoes.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Electrical charges can go through the leather soles. They cannot go through rubber soles like, Adidas
Yeah,
and the
shoes
shoe
most
of
people are
Abraham.
wearing. Yeah, the shoes most people are wearing.
Yeah,
It's
what am I
interesting.
wearing?
Yeah.
Looking at my feet right now, and I've got Skechers on and rubber soles.
Rubber
So
soles. But you're
yeah,
gonna balance that out when you go to bed with your grounding pad.
my grounding sheet. Yeah. So a doctor that I've interviewed in several of my books is Dr. Stephen Sinatra, and he's the first person who taught me about grounding, and he's done a lot of research on it. And I think he's written a book called Grounding.
Okay.
And I highly recommend that people read that book.
And he worked with
Excellent.
Clint Ober, right? Do you know Clint Ober? That's who we had
Yes.
on our podcast.
We
Yes.
interviewed
Yeah,
him,
so.
and he just came out with the Earthing movie. But the really interesting thing is he talked about if you are grounded, like inflammation can't exist, and you can't have disease if you don't have inflammation.
Right.
And just that concept too of, and that might sound woo-woo to someone who's never heard of this grounding before, but it's really just going back to who we were. We used to get a lot of barefoot time, right? We used to get that connection with the earth. And Suzanne, you were talking about organic food and the importance of that. And people think, oh, that's just, a way to make more money. That's what we used to have before we had pesticides. So a lot of this is just going back to basics, right? Getting rid of the chemicals that were added and getting rid of all these pesticides. And
Clint came over to our house. Sinatra sent him over so that he could bring a grounding sheet and
See, when
give
you say
us.
Sinatra, that can be the real Sinatra. We never know which Sinatra you're talking
you
about.
never know.
I knew Frank Sinatra.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Lucky me.
Lucky you.
When Sinatra was headlining in Vegas on Sunday nights, it was interesting when Sinatra was on the Strip. It was like the light shone brighter. You could just feel the energy on the Las Vegas Strip when Sinatra was appearing there.
Oh, wow.
And so on closing night for his show, Sunday nights, he would invite all the other headliners up and down the Strip to come to his dressing room. And I was one of those fortunate.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine being in Sinatra's dressing room? And I remember one night, Rodney Dangerfield and Shirley MacLaine and George Carlin and Sammy Davis.
Wow.
And it was like a who's who. And Sinatra came over to me and he goes, kid, you got a good sound. I said, thank you very much, sir. And he said, you're not breathing right. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you sing like all those singing teachers teach you. He said, you sing from your diaphragm. I said, isn't that, what you're supposed to do? He goes, no. He said, you're supposed to sing from your peep. I said, what's your peep? Yeah. And he explained to me to pull the air from as far down as I could get it and pull in my entire core. And it was interesting. My octave improved. I was able to sing higher and I was able to sing lower because of that one little singing lesson being taught by Sinatra to sing from my peep. So I had to
sing from your peep. I love that. I feel like I just took a little trip back in time, into just like such an amazing time in history. And what was that era? Like what era would that have been?
Well, that was the era of Three's Company. And I was the last person to enter into that Rat Pack. I wasn't part of it, but because I was the new kid on the block, I got invited to the events and the dressing rooms and things like that. And I never took it for granted. It was just an incredible thing. I got to work with John Wayne.
Oh,
and
wow.
I mean,
it's another buck. You got another buck in you.
Now, did these people know anything about the environment or toxins or anything?
No. But it's so cool that you've used your platforms. A lot of people have big platforms, that are about them and their success and their fame and that's great. But to take your platform and just do something so good with it is really awe-inspiring. I know everybody who meets you feels that way because you're so humble and kind and generous with your knowledge.
Thank you. It's all been a privilege. And again, like I said earlier, I never planned to do this, be this. I just, I had my my baby when 1 month after my 19th birthday. And so I was pregnant during my 18th year. I had won a scholarship to college. I chose the stupidest college, a Catholic women's college. I don't know why. I was just trying to please my mother, I guess. And well, if you're pregnant at a Catholic college, they don't allow you to stay.
That's a hard look. That's a hard look. Yeah.
All right. I was not able to go to college. And you know, it's interesting. I am self-educated. Mm-hmm. And I think that, again, the worst things that happen can be your greatest asset. Mm-hmm. I think that has been an incredible asset for me, that, and especially now with the internet, you can find anything that you want. Mm-hmm. But because Three's Company was such a huge success, I was able to use my fame to get to the best and the brightest. Mm-hmm. And these teachers that I've been surrounded by have just, it's just been an amazing thing. So I look at it all as an opportunity, and what an incredible experience.
Yeah. And I bet you're teaching a lot of doctors. I'm sure, because we just interviewed a doctor who she's really progressive on educating herself and reading and going to conferences. But she said, you know, that's really rare because most doctors don't have the time, right? They're so packed in with their patients, right, insurance, and right, what they learned in medical school, whoever knows when that was, is it. And that's where the education ends. So like you being so passionate and doing the digging, and, you know, I'm sure you're teaching them things all the time too.
These doctors have had such a profound effect upon me. One of the doctors that, Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez, do you know that name? Mm-mm. Well, Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez, I interviewed him in several of my books also, most notably in Knockout Doctors Who Are Curing Cancer Without Drugs. Oh, he has taken such harassment because his protocol is coffee enemas and pancreatic enzymes. And I said, so what's the basis behind your protocol? He said, the theory is clean it out, detox, coffee enemas, and feed it right. He unfortunately was murdered 3 years. And I believe because he was having success. In fact, I talked to him 3 hours before he died, and he was fine. Right. He had called me. He said, "I've been thinking about your stomach, Suzanne." He said, "I think you should take mastic gum. Mastic gum is a good supplement for gut health." Okay. And he sounded great. And then I find out 3 hours later he's dead. And at the funeral, it was in one of those little churches in upstate New York that looked like George Washington went there. You know how those churches look? Yeah. And it was packed with all of his patients. And I gave the eulogy, and I said, I know that you all must feel so adrift. Here's this doctor that you've placed your life in his hands, and he's gone. I said, but he's given you the protocol. Yeah. Just stay with it. Just stay with it. But what I was most impressed with that day was here's a church filled with his patients, and no one looked sick. Ooh. There wasn't one chemo-looking patient. The chatter at the reception after was everybody saying the same thing. You know, I was given 15 years ago weeks to live, and I went on the Gonzalez protocol, and here I am all these years later.
Oh, it's called the Gonzalez protocol for anybody listening who might want to check that out. Okay.
Yeah, Nicholas Gonzalez. It's a major loss for humanity that he's no longer here. But then again, I look at his life and I think maybe he did what he came to do, and there was nothing more for him to do. But anyway, I went on the Gonzalez protocol. Now, I said to him, can't you just drink coffee? Why do you have to have a coffee enema? Exactly. He said, it doesn't work that way. I said, well, how does it work?
None of us would be sick if that were the case.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He said, when you take coffee by enema, he said, the liver is like a sponge. He said, so when the coffee goes there, he said, it squeezes the toxins out of the liver and it squeezes it out. He said, so depending on the stage of cancer that you have, 2 coffee enemas in the morning and 2 at night, back to back, you hold them for 10 minutes each. And I just kept hearing this story over and over again of the success that people were having. So it's a major loss that he's no longer on the planet, but I do think he came to do what he came to do.
And but there was a lot of controversy around a lot of alternatives and doctors getting murdered.
He was one of the first ones. And then there was that doctor, was it Bradstreet in Florida, who committed suicide by shooting himself twice in the head and then having the presence of mind to throw the gun upstream in the river. And we're supposed to believe that.
Right, sure. Exactly.
No one's ever dug into and I don't want to do it because if you go messing around in areas like that and you end up a statistic yourself.
You're going to have black SUVs showing up following you.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. What would you say to people who kind of are a little fearful of speaking out on particular topics that could be deemed controversial, or, you've done a really good job. What's your approach to that? Like, oh, well, it's just too important and I'm going to speak boldly about these things and not worry about it. Or are you hesitant?
Well, my area of most focus is bioidentical hormones. And the response to putting yourself back together again in balance, hormonal balance, because again, every hormone talks to every hormone, and that's your communication system. The reason you're not sleeping is that language is impaired. So I don't think bioidentical hormones are that controversial. They were when I first started talking about them, but I think that there's an acceptance of them as mainstream now. And the fact that women and men feel so good in balance, that's been a real asset for me.
Yeah, that's such a good takeaway. Get those hormones tested. You do a blood test. Is that what you would recommend, or is it different?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Blood and urine. It's all important. The 24-hour urine is probably the most significant, but it's not going to hurt to have a blood test too. And again, I send people to Life Extension Foundation.
Okay.
If you look in the back of any of my books, their website is there. And
Life Extension Foundation. They're the lab that the.
Yeah. Okay. And they're the ones with the scientific advisory board of 26 doctors, scientists, and professionals.
Okay. You don't have to tell us what you take personally, but do you find like women, are we low in testosterone too? Is that really where the sex drive starts to? Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes. Okay. We're low in everything. When you drain out, you drain out in everything.
Every
morning. Oh, here's part of my day. How could I have forgotten this? It's one of the first things I do after the gut renew smoothie. I rub on my prescribed amount of estrogen cream, my prescribed amount of progesterone cream. I take my hormones according to the lunar cycle. So I take estrogen every day of the month.
Okay.
But I only take progesterone 15 days of the month, which is how it was in nature.
Mm-hmm. I do that too, Suzanne. I take progesterone. That's the only thing I take right now, but I do the same as you.
Yeah. So 15 days a month we take progesterone, and then every day of the month I take DHEA, and every day of the month I take a little testosterone according to my deficiencies, and I feel wonderful. I feel probably better than I've ever felt in my life.
Wow.
At 74.
Well, you look amazing, and so does Alan too.
Yeah, you guys both look incredible. It's really mind-boggling that you're 74 and he's 84. That's just mind-boggling. And then Alan, is he taking estrogen and progesterone, or just testosterone?
Every Tuesday,
okay,
I give him his testosterone injection.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Don't call us on Wednesday.
Oh, right. The doors are closed.
Oh, I see. That's funny.
Yeah, come over here, Alan. Alan also wants you to know that every Friday night we have our virtual cocktail party on Facebook.
I have seen them. Big Al's Bar.
Alan, looking
Big
good.
Al's Bar.
Yeah, Big Al's Bar.
Bring
Big
your
Al's
own tequila.
Yeah, and your own salty things. And
Is that your cheat? I was going to ask you that question because I know you're so healthy. Ron and I are too. Of course, we all have our cheats. What's your big cheat? Is it tequila or French fries or chocolate cake?
Tequila.
oh, I'd say tequila for sure. Yeah,
And it's natural. It's natural.
Yeah. and the clear tequila, because the clear tequila has little to no sugar. And so what we're trying to do is, sugar's the body's enemy. And so that's what we're trying to do. So what we found was, in particular, women do not like to drink alone. But if they could come to Big Al's Bar on Friday night and have a cocktail with me and Big Al, it's quite an enjoyable hour.
Oh, that is so awesome. So everybody's invited. If you're listening, every Friday, what time?
5 o'clock
Pacific time.
5 o'clock Pacific on Facebook.
So everyone on the East Coast has to wait for their drink, right?
They have to wait.
Yeah. So just sleep in the morning and stay up a little later.
Yeah. And if you're taking your hormones, hey guys, you're going to have all the energy to stay up late, right? Do you get that crash ever anymore? Do you get that crash in the day, or do you find yourself getting tired, or is that kind of gone with the hormone balance?
I didn't sleep last night for the first time in years, at all. I didn't sleep. And you know what? I had forgotten to take my melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. I didn't realize that I was that dependent upon it, but I was lying there all night long and I had monkey brain. I haven't had monkey brain in a long time. And I think it's because Thanksgiving's coming and I was arranging,
planning the table.
I was cooking. I was pretty busy last night.
Yeah, you got it all done already.
Yeah.
Your mind, anyway. You've already had your Thanksgiving.
What we are living as toxic-free a life as we possibly can pull off. And when you walk in our house, there's no chemical smells. Our laundry room is not there. We don't use any chemicals. I'm proud of the way that we've chosen to live our life, aren't you?
Yeah, and by the way, we also got rid of all of our toxic people in our life.
That's good for you.
Alan,
that's the hardest part.
It's so we were talking about that at the beginning. I said, it's not just the news and the music but it's the people. It's certain people that bring you down, want to bring you down, and you got to make those tough decisions sometimes, because sometimes there are people maybe you've known your whole life, or maybe even sometimes a family member that maybe, we all want to try to resolve those issues.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to make those tough decisions. And
The thing about aging is that you don't give up, you know what. So I called 4 guys that
You
I
don't
didn't
give
like
up
very
what?
much.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't give a
you don't give a fluff.
A
fluff, Suzanne. A fluff.
Thanks for the censor. That's very nice.
We'll beep that out.
Yeah.
See, Suzanne and I have a 10-year difference. So she says, I don't give a letter S.
Yeah.
I say, being 10 years older, I don't give a letter F.
Yeah. You don't.
Yeah.
Well,
we say fluff. Give a
that's
fluff.
nice.
I know, it is funny, but that's so great. And do you guys, I guess one of my last questions was, have you influenced your children and your grandchildren? Is everybody kind of on board with this whole living lifestyle? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They're organic all the way.
Are they? That's so great.
They just don't know any other way. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy about that.
Our grandchildren listen to us until they start having sex. And then it's a whole other world.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But you'll have given them all the knowledge that they need. I often tell Ron, can you imagine if we grew up eating organic and knowing all this stuff? Because you spend a lot of your adulthood undoing so many toxic.
Yeah. Imagine. Well, hopefully all of us who have embraced this way of life will make it easier for the next generations, the upcoming generations.
Also, organic food, which used to be very expensive, years ago.
Yeah.
And now you can go to Walmart or to Costco.
Yes.
And they have hundreds of organic offerings.
That's what we're having for dinner
It's the right price.
Yep.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? I know. Costco kind of blew me away the last time I was there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know.
In the old days, you'd go to these little kind of funky little stores somewhere.
A little natural food store with the...
And there'd be produce there that looked like it died, you know, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the people behind the counter, they didn't look too healthy.
I know. It's true. You'd be like one of two people in the store. Yeah. There was Ron and I. Yeah, we'd shop there too.
Well, thank you for being mentors to us and the world. You guys are absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And our producer who's, hiding back there, he's also of like us. He's like-minded. He lives healthy with his wife too. And I have to say, like, you guys have a healthy, amazing marriage. We have a healthy, amazing marriage. And so does our producer. And so this spills out into your life, guys. This is not just about you. It's about your relationships and because when you feel good, life is just easier, right? You're happier.
Like they say in AA, you lead by example.
Yeah, right.
The other thing that always amazes me is we've been together for 50 years, but for 40 years, the past 40 years, we have not spent one night apart and we're together 24 hours a day.
And I love it.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Wow.
We love being together. It's great.
Wow, you hit the jackpot. Great job.
Wow, you guys, that in 20 years, you have not spent one night apart.
No.
That's incredible.
We haven't spent 1 hour apart.
And you never fought once too, which is incredible.
Yeah.
There's not been one fight.
So I would like to, at some point down the road, have another conversation with the two of you. And let's just get into how to have the healthiest house that you can live in. Because I know you two are so versed in that. And I'd like you to teach me, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we'd be honored to.
Yeah, we'd be honored. I'm sure you know a lot more than you think you do. But yeah, whatever we can do to help, we want to.
I really appreciate it.
Well, we're at the point right now with the house that we're building. I sent the contractor and the design team and the architects and the engineer all those websites you sent me. Thank you.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I have a lot more. We have a lot more to give you. I don't know if we want to do a call. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm forgetting we're on a podcast here.
What an education that is.
Yeah. You have so much to teach people.
Yeah.
And you can change the world with what you know. And I think that that's the point of what we're all doing. Just trying to make the world a better place.
Trying to make the world better. And the world needs that now more than ever with all this coronavirus and all of this and the fear. So thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Alan, for being guests on our show and sharing your effervescence,
very much.
Your passion, your knowledge.
Cameraman, I have to say goodbye now.
Friends, we hope you enjoyed today's show as much as we did. If Suzanne didn't inspire you, I don't know what will. So head on over to SuzanneSomers.com right now and sign up for her newsletter to receive some juicy savings.
Friday night, 5 o'clock Pacific.
Oh, and don't forget to join them for happy hour every Friday night at 5 p.m.
Big Al's Bar.
Big Al's Bar. They're serving up tequila, and you can join no matter where you are. Follow them at Suzanne Somers on Facebook and Instagram.
Until next week, tune in next week to up-level your health and find out what the heck is going on in your home. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
This episode of the Healthy Home Hacks podcast has ended, but be sure to subscribe for more healthy living strategies and tactics to help you create the healthy home you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best content. See you on the next episode.